Welcome to your favorite channel, where you'll learn everything you need to know to improve your health and lifestyle. Let's get started.
You know, it's a strange world we live in, right? We're all trying to be healthy, we're tracking our steps, we're drinking green smoothies, we're trying to get a good night's sleep. But what if the thing we do the most, just sitting, is secretly sabotaging all that good work? Okay, we're gonna get into this because what science is finding out about our chairs is, frankly, pretty alarming. So let's just start with this number. Wow. Researchers have now connected just sitting too much to more than 30, that's 30, different chronic diseases and conditions. And we're talking about the big ones: heart disease, diabetes, obesity, even some types of cancer. It's this massive health crisis that's literally hiding in plain sight, and it affects almost every single one of us. And really, there's just no way to soften the blow. Dr. James Levine, who's one of the top researchers in this whole field, puts it as bluntly as you can: sitting too much kills. I mean, think about that. This isn't just about getting a stiff back or having bad posture. This is a legitimate, serious health hazard. So we have to understand what's actually going on here. Now, scientists have actually given this a name. They call it sitting disease. It's the official term for all the health problems that come from sedentary behavior. And let's be super clear, this has nothing to do with being lazy. It's a physiological state your body enters, and it has these profound consequences that we're only just now starting to really get our heads around. So what does sedentary actually mean? Well, here's the scientific breakdown. Basically, it's any time you're awake, but you're sitting or reclining, and your body's energy use is just rock bottom low. The best way to think about it is that your body's metabolic engine is just idling, It's barely chugging along. It's all about your posture and how little energy you're using, not just about skipping a workout. Okay, this slide right here, this busts the #1 myth about sitting. You might be thinking, hey, hold on, I crush it at the gym for an hour every day. And that's awesome, it really is. But, and this is a huge but, it doesn't make you immune. If you then go sit for 8, 9, 10 hours at a desk, you fall into this trap they call active but sedentary. And your risk for all that metabolic stuff, it's still high. The real secret, as you can see, isn't about one big workout. It's about moving consistently all day long. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the fascinating and, kinda terrifying science of what is actually happening inside your body moment by moment when you're just sitting in a chair. How can something so simple be so bad for us? So just picture your leg muscles for a second, your glutes, your quads. These are huge, powerful muscles. Think of them like these massive metabolic engines designed to burn fuel constantly. But the second you sit down, those engines they go dormant. They completely power down. They stop contracting, they stop asking for energy, and that single action kicks off an immediate and really dangerous chain reaction.
And this table here, this shows that shutdown in action. First, your energy burn absolutely tanks, down to about 1 single calorie a minute. Then, and this is a big one, look at lipoprotein lipase, or LPL. The easiest way to think of LPL is like a little vacuum cleaner for fat in your bloodstream. When you're moving, it's sucking up fat for energy. But when you sit, its activity plummets. It just stops working. So that fat just stays in your blood, floating around. And finally, your body gets worse at responding to insulin, which means sugar also builds up in your blood. It's a total mess, a perfect storm for metabolic chaos.
But okay, enough of the doom and gloom. Because the really good news is that the solution is surprisingly simple. It's accessible to everyone, and it is incredibly effective. It's a concept that's totally changing how we think about activity, and it's called the exercise snack. So what on earth is an exercise snack? Well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a quick, short burst of vigorous activity. We're talking 60 seconds, maybe even less, that you sprinkle throughout your day. The point isn't to replace your gym session. The point is to break up those long, damaging stretches of sitting. And this visual just says it all, doesn't it? That long, unbroken line of sitting at a desk, that's the problem. But when you interrupt it with these little snacks, a quick run up the stairs, a few jumping jacks by your desk, you're basically hitting a reset button. You're waking up all those systems that were shutting down. You're telling your body, hey, let's get moving again, let's manage that sugar and fat, and you boost your overall fitness in the process. I mean, just look at the benefits here. They're just undeniable, right? It's ridiculously time efficient, Come on, everyone has 60 seconds. You don't need any special gear or a gym membership. And most importantly, it directly attacks the problem. It improves your fitness, your blood sugar control, your vascular health. This is probably one of the most powerful, science-backed life hacks you can possibly adopt. Okay, theory is one thing, but let's get practical. What can you actually do? Let's look at a simple menu of these movement snacks that you can start using literally today right where you are.
And see, this stuff isn't complicated. You can lean on your desk and do a few push-ups. You can just practice standing up from your chair and sitting back down without using your hands. That's a fantastic squat. Do a few lunges in the hallway, bust out 30 seconds of jumping jacks, or just take the stairs. Each one of those is a potent little snack to wake your metabolism right back up.
So how do you actually remember to do this stuff? Well, you use this brilliant little psychological trick called habit stacking. Don't try to rely on willpower, it'll fail you. Instead, you just link your new little exercise snack to a habit you already do. The old habit becomes the trigger. So for example, after every time I hang up a Zoom call, I'll do 10 squats. Or while my coffee is brewing, I'll do 30 seconds of jumping jacks. See? It just becomes automatic. All right, now this is where things get really wild. What if I told you there's a way to get a lot of these metabolic benefits without even having to stand up? I know, it sounds way too good to be true, but the science on this is just incredible. So let me introduce you to something called the soleus push-up. The soleus is a muscle deep in your calf that some researchers are now calling a new metabolic organ. It's that powerful. All you do is, while you're sitting with your feet flat, you just raise your heels up as high as they can go, keeping the ball of your foot on the floor. Then you lower them. It's a simple, deliberate contraction, and it activates the soleus muscle in a really unique way. And get this, the results are just mind-blowing. Research found that doing this while sitting can cut the blood sugar spike after a meal by a whopping 52%. And it can lower the amount of insulin your body needs by 60%. That's insane. Because the soleus muscle pulls its fuel, sugar, and fat directly from the bloodstream, it can work for hours without getting tired. It acts like a little metabolic pump, even while the rest of you is sitting still. This is an absolute game changer for those long meetings or flights. So let's zoom out for a second and see how this all adds up. When you start peppering these little movements throughout your day, you're not just getting a little bit of exercise. You are fundamentally redesigning your body's physiology. You're changing your health trajectory for the long haul. And what does that actually look like? Well, big studies that tracked thousands of people found that just 3 to 4 minutes of vigorous, sporadic activity a day, broken up into little bursts, just like exercise snacks, was linked to a 40% drop in the risk of dying from any cause. That is a massive, massive return on such a tiny investment of your time. Look, if you remember one single thing from all of this, please let it be this. When it comes to fighting the damage of sitting, frequency beats duration every single time. It is so much better for your metabolism to move for 1 minute every hour than to sit for 8 hours straight and then go for a 30-minute run. Breaking up the stillness, that's the key. Every single time you stand up, do a squat, or take the stairs, you are flipping a metabolic switch back on. You're signaling to your body to burn fuel, to clear out those fats and sugars from your blood, and to stop that damaging cascade that starts the second you sit down. It's really that simple, and it's that powerful. So I'm just gonna leave you with this thought. You've got 1,440 minutes in your day. All we're talking about is reclaiming just a few of them. You don't need more time in the day, you don't need a gym, you don't need fancy clothes. All you need is the intention to stand up and snack on a little movement. Your future self is gonna be so grateful you did.
Here are some tips to help you have a healthy and strong body and mind. Remember that we upload videos every day.
All right, welcome to The Explainer. You know, we're all looking for the secret to a long life, right? Well, what if I told you it's not some hidden secret, but a blueprint? One that's been right in front of us all along. Today, we're gonna crack that code. And it's not just about adding years to your life, it's about adding life to your years. So let's start with a really important question. I mean, what are you really aiming for? Are you just focused on your lifespan? Or are you thinking about your health span? Seriously, think about that for a second. What's the point of living longer if those extra years are just miserable, right? Getting this distinction right, well, it changes absolutely everything. Yeah, see, lifespan, that's just the number, the total years you're on this planet. But health span, oh, that's the good stuff. That's all about the quality of those years. The years you're feeling great, you're active, you're free from all those chronic diseases we dread. The goal here isn't just to limp across the finish line at 100, it's to sprint, or at least jog comfortably right to the end. That's the prize.
Okay, so where do we find this magical blueprint? Well, it turns out we look to these places called blue zones. Think of them as these little pockets of the world that are like natural laboratories for a long life. We're talking about 5 specific places: Okinawa in Japan, Sardinia in Italy, Nicoya in Costa Rica, Ikaria in Greece, and even one in the US, Loma Linda, California. In these places, people aren't just living longer, they're hitting 100 at incredible rates, and they're doing it without all the chronic diseases that we just assume are a normal part of getting old.
So, here's the plan. We're gonna dive deep and crack their code. We've distilled all their secrets down into 4 main pillars. We'll go through them one by one, and then, at the end, we'll talk about how you can take all this and start building your own personal blue zone.
Sound good?
All right, let's jump right into our first pillar, how we move. Now, the way people in blue zones approach physical activity, it's so simple, but it's probably gonna flip what you think of as exercise completely on its head.
Check this out. The longest-lived people on Earth, they don't work out. Not like we do, anyway. You're not going to find a 95-year-old Okinawan signing up for a CrossFit class. It's just not a thing. For them, movement isn't something they schedule. It's just a natural, unavoidable part of their day.
And this is a huge mindset shift, right? For most of us, exercise is this intense 1-hour blast to the gym, and then we sit for the other 15 hours of the day. For them, it's the total opposite. Their entire world is set up to make them move constantly, but gently. They're out in the garden, they're walking to a friend's house, they're doing things by hand. It's this all-day, low-level hum of activity that keeps them going.
So, how can we, in our modern world, copy this? Well, there's this really cool idea called the Centenarian Decathlon. It's simple. Think about the 10 things you really want to be able to do when you're 95 or 100. You know, like picking up a great-grandchild, carrying your own groceries, climbing a flight of stairs. Then, you train for that, right now. It's about training for life, not just for looks.
Okay, movement is huge, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. Let's talk about pillar number 2, food. What are we putting in our bodies? And just like with movement, you're gonna see it's not about some single magic superfood. It's all about the overall pattern.
And wow, is the pattern clear. When you look at all the blue zones, their diets are, on average, 95% plant-based. And the foundation, the cornerstone of their diet? It's not goji berries or some expensive powder, it's beans. Yep, humble beans. Fava beans, black beans, lentils, you name it. Plus tons of whole grains, nuts, and veggies. Meat? That's more of a special occasion thing, not an every single day staple.
But it's not just what they eat, it's also how they eat. In Okinawa, they have this little mantra they say before a meal, Hara Hachibu. It's a reminder to stop eating when you're 80% full. Think about that. That little 20% gap, the one between, I'm not hungry anymore and, I'm stuffed, that can be everything. It's literally the difference between gaining weight or losing it over time. And yeah, if you look across the different regions, the specific foods change a bit. You've got sweet potatoes in Okinawa, fava beans in Sardinia, corn and squash in Costa Rica. But the theme, it's always the same, whole foods. Stuff that hasn't been messed with too much. And, you guessed it, mostly plants.
Okay, we've covered moving and eating. But living a long, happy life, it's not just about the physical stuff. It's also deeply connected to how we feel, who we connect with. And honestly, this might be the most important and most overlooked pillar of them all.
In Okinawa, they have a word for this, ikigai. It basically translates to your reason for being. It's why you get out of bed in the morning. And this isn't some fluffy, nice-to-have idea. Having a real sense of purpose is a powerful, powerful engine for a long and healthy life. It's your North Star. And this isn't just talk. This has real, measurable effects on your body. Get this. Studies show that knowing your purpose can add up to 7 extra years to your life. 7 years! And on top of that, it helps protect your brain from decline as you age. That's incredible.
So the big takeaway here is that your connections, your tribe, are basically a prescription for good health. Being part of a community, putting your family first, even just making sure your friends are people who lift you up and support healthy habits, it all matters. Your social circle can literally be the most powerful health intervention you have.
Okay, time for our last pillar. And this one deals with something every single one of us has to deal with, stress. It's not about avoiding stress. That's impossible. It's about how we handle it, how we recharge and protect ourselves from it. This is going to sound a little weird, but stick with me. Did you know that every night, when you go to sleep, your brain gives itself a wash?
It's true. There's this incredible system called the glymphatic system. And when you're in deep sleep, it switches on and acts like a power washer for your brain. It flushes out all the junk and metabolic waste that builds up while you're awake, including the nasty proteins that are linked to Alzheimer's disease. So yeah, getting enough quality sleep isn't a luxury. It's absolutely essential for your brain.
And speaking of stress, here's an amazing way to picture what it's actually doing to you on a physical level. You know the little plastic tips on the ends of your shoelaces? Well, you have something similar on your chromosomes called telomeres. And chronic stress, it's like taking sandpaper to those little caps, fraying them and shortening them. It's literally aging you from the inside out at the genetic level. But the people on the blue zones have figured this out. They have these built-in daily routines to downshift and shed stress. It could be a short nap, time for prayer, or even just a happy hour with friends. They prove that managing stress has to be a daily practice. And the cool part is, things like meditation can actually help boost an enzyme that rebuilds those telomeres. You can literally help slow down the aging process.
Okay, so we've got the 4 pillars: move wisely, eat for life, connect deeply, and rest and recharge. So now what? How do we take all this and actually use it? It's all about becoming the architect of your own life, building your own personal blue zone, right where you are.
And this, to me, is the best news of all. We tend to think our health is all written in our genes, right? Well, it turns out genes only account for about 20% of how long you live. 20%. The other 80%? That's your lifestyle. That's your environment. That's the stuff you have control over. You are in the driver's seat.
So, I want to leave you with a question. Building a long, vibrant life? It's not about some radical, overnight transformation. It just starts with one small change. One simple step that makes the healthy choice the easy choice. Maybe you put a bowl of fruit on your counter instead of cookies. Maybe you just decide to take the stairs at work tomorrow. So, what's it going to be? What's your one small change?
If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers so I can bring you better content. See you tomorrow with a new video.